Shields up, guns up. Let's do this. Welcome to the Defender. Hello, this is SPC Brawlers, aka Brawlers once again, and this is my second video of the Guardian reviews in Destiny. You can call this a part 2 from the Titan review if you like. I'm just doing a double check right now that if you haven't already, please check out my first review. The first subclass has been covered here, and if you love using the Striker, then this video is for you. I will also leave an annotation on the screen and in the description. I highly recommend you check out the Striker video before you watch the Defender video, but the choice is all up to you. This video will be covering the Defender subclass. Speaking of which, let's get to it. Unlocked at level 15, or if you have started with another Guardian, this subclass will be unlocked by default. The Defenders are immovable anchors trained to take on damage and punishment from their enemies. Also, these Guardians control the flow of the battle wherever they go. Armed with Void techniques, Defenders are meant to be unflinchable in order to block the enemy's movements. These Guardians also shrug off the fiercest weapons and get the other Guardians to strike back. You can basically say that these are the ultimate juggernauts of Destiny. Just like the Striker skill tree, we have the Defender skill tree. Some of the perks inside this tree have its similarities with the Striker, but a lot of them have their differences with this skill tree. So let's not dilly-dally, let's continue.
What was that? Oh, I meant to put that in there. Let's get to it. Once you use the Defender, the first grenade that you're going to be able to unlock is the Magnetic Grenade. This grenade attaches to enemies and explodes twice. This grenade can also roll on the ground if you prefer it that way. But be careful with this grenade. This grenade gives off a lot of splash damage and could possibly kill you if you are too close with the enemies, so keep your distance with this little thing. Up next, we have the Spike Grenade, a grenade that attaches to anything and commits void damage if enemies are too close to it. The unique feature with this grenade is that this grenade sticks onto any surface, and on the bright side, this grenade does not give off any splash damage, so you can stand right on top of this grenade and you don't have to worry about a single thing other than the enemies firing at you. And finally, for the last grenade, we have the Suppressor, a unique grenade for the Defender which explodes and does not allow enemies to use their abilities for a short time. Say if you're fighting with the Vex, and if the Vex get hit with this grenade, they will not be able to teleport or warp for a few seconds. This grenade can also roll on the ground, and it can actually harm you and suppress your abilities for a mere 5 seconds, so just a thing to watch out for. Up next, we have the jump abilities, which they are identical to the Striker. We have Lift, which lifts you up, Increase Height, which has more heights, Increase Control, which has the more aerial control while you're in the air, and Catapult, which upgrades the lift to have a small initial burst. Now, a giant unique feature with the Defender is their super abilities, and the super ability that the Defender has is the Ward of Dawn, a void sphere shape to protect your allies and yourself from harm. Keep in mind that out of all the Guardians in Destiny, this is the only super that cannot directly harm the enemies. And another unique thing that you gotta keep an eye out for if you're using the Defender, you can't shoot from the shield, but they can't harm you while you are in the shield. The enemies will have to approach you and be inside the shield in order to harm you, and vice versa. You will need to get outside of the shield and shoot the enemies in order to get kills. If you wish to upgrade the Ward of Dawn, we have the Armor of Light. While inside the Ward of Dawn, you and your allies gain significant damage resistance. We also have the Blessing of Light. While you're inside the Ward of Dawn, you and your allies will gain a temporary shield. This can arm your entire group.
I realize that it's temporary, not temporarily. Common mistake I made. Redo.
You and your allies will gain a temporary shield, which will allow you and your allies to have yourselves shielded twice, both inside the shield and as a shield for your armor. So you can say this is a double shield. And finally, we have the Weapons of Light. You don't have to stay inside the Ward of Dawn for this one. As you simply pass through the Ward of Dawn, and as you stay in there for at least a second, you and your allies will have an increase on weapon damage for a few short moments. If you want to shoot the enemies out, this is the way to go. Up next, we have the melee abilities, which the first one you are able to unlock is Disintegrate. As your melee bar is fully charged, kills with this melee will create a force barrier. For those of you who do not know what force barrier is, as you look on your health bar, and if your health bar is fully in turquoise blue, that represents your force barrier. Like I said before, this can be considered as an overcharged shield. Once Force Barrier is active, you will be able to withstand and absorb incoming damage. You also have 3 options to choose from if you wish to upgrade this even further. Up first we have War Machine. Kills once the bar is full, and while Force Barrier is active, all your weapon reload speeds and your ready up times will be insanely quick. Up next we have Gift of Light. While your Force Barrier is active, all melee kills will create orbs of light. As you sock out the enemies, you will create at least 1 orb per kill. This could be a huge asset if your teammates need some orbs of light. So just simply equip this perk and just go ham with the Vex, or the Cabal, or the Fallen, or the Hive, or any enemy you desire. And finally, we have Unbreakable. As Force Barrier is active, it'll continually recharge, as long as you're not taking that much damage. Now for the training abilities. This is very similar, if not identical, to the Striker. We have Titan Codex 1, which trains on battle recovery and toughness. Titan Codex 2, which trains on speed and toughness. Titan Codex 3, training on battle recovery and speed. Titan Codex 4 will be training on all the tributes. But the key feature with the Defender is the Titan Codex 5, which will only have maximum recovery. For the Striker, it is a little different since it has maximum battle recovery. And finally, we have Titan Codex 6, which covers on raw speed. And finally, we have the bonus abilities. For our first perk that you're able to unlock with the Defender is Bastion, increasing the duration of the Ward of Dawn. This can really help you out if you're going to be going inside complex strikes and raids. By default, without Bastion, the Ward of Dawn will hold up for 32 to 33 seconds. But with Bastion equipped, you're looking at yourself with 47 to 48 seconds for the Ward of Dawn to maintain its position. Up next we have Relentless, increasing the strength and duration of Force Barrier. So that means you are even tougher to kill once Force Barrier is active around you. Third, we have Gift of the Void. As your Ward of Dawn is active and takes damage, more Orbs of Light are created. Again, this can be very useful for strikes and raids, especially for slow moving bosses like Voss the Ark from the Serpent's Bay Third Strike on Mars, or Fogoth the Untamed from the Summoning Pit Strike on the Moon. As these slow giants fire directly at you, and if you guys are inside your Ward of Dawn, you will create more Orbs of Light for your allies. For our fourth perk, we have Untouchable. This reduces the cooldown time for the Ward of Dawn, which means you will be able to shield yourself and your allies more often. For our fifth perk, we have Iron Harvest. Heavy weapon kills give a chance to create Orbs of Light for allies. Meaning if you are a heavy goer with your rocket launchers or your machine guns, this perk will really suit your interest. And finally, we have Illuminated. This increases the benefits granted by Blessing and Weapons of Light, meaning you will have a higher effect for yourself and for your teammates when you have Blessing of Light or Weapons of Light active. To wrap up with the Defender, wait a second, that's the name of a car. And that's the name of an arcade game. And that's better. Wrapping up with the Defender, this subclass speaks its own identity for itself. The Defenders are your go-to titans if you are being under heavy fire, and if you need help, they will be there to get you back out there and to continue with the fight. Now, a question I asked myself from the beginning, and I hope at least one of you viewers might have the same question but already know the answer to it. What weapon should I use? And the answer is any to your liking, but I highly advise you stick with 2 types of primary weapons for every Guardian you have. The reason being is A, you won't have to get completely confused with your armor sets, and B, you will only have to focus on specific types of armor pieces. For example, I personally run with assault rifles and hand cannons with my Titan, since the Titans are all about getting into the heat of battle. For the specials and heavy weapons, I use all sorts, but mostly shotguns, and a blend with the light machine guns and rocket launchers. Remember, this is my set of loadouts, but the usage of weapons and how you want to run with your Titan, whether it's a Striker or a Defender, is all up to you. So patch up, hold your ground, and turn the tide in your favor to the fight for victory. This concludes the review of the Defender and for the Titan. Thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something new today, have some ideas of your own to plan, but most of all, I hope you enjoyed. And I hope you'll join me in the next review, for we will be covering the mysterious Guardian out of the 3, and that is none other than the Warlocks. Until then, this has been SBC Brawlers. Game on, gamers.
Yeah. Dance. Yeah. Come on. Dance. 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 Yeah. Keep it going. Wait. The song's over? Okay. Sorry.